Hi, I'm Barb Nangle. I'm the founder of Higher Power Coaching and Consulting. I want to welcome you to my podcast, Fragmented to Whole: Life Lessons from 12-Step Recovery. On this podcast, I share my experience, strength, and hope from recovery. I don't support or endorse any particular 12-step recovery fellowship, and I don't claim to speak for any of them either. My hope is that you will find my words helpful in some way, whether you're in recovery or not. This is episode 99. How to actually understand the difference between intention and impact. I was listening to a podcast the other day where somebody said, your intention doesn't matter. It's just the impact that matters. I think that's true to a certain degree, but here's what I mean by that. To the outer world, nobody gives a shit what your intentions are. What they care about is the impact of your behavior, the result that you've created. However, internally, from your perspective, your intention makes all the difference in the world. I'll get to that in a minute. First, I want to tell you I am really excited about my 100th podcast episode coming up next week. We videotaped it last week, which was super fun. The podcast audio will be released on March 22nd, and the video is going to be released on Patreon soon after. It will be my first thing being released on Patreon, so that's kind of exciting too. We did have some technical difficulties with one of the guests, and we're hoping to be able to re-record her in time for the show to come out, but if it doesn't happen, I'll definitely invite her back. In any case, I had 5 guests. 2 of them were musicians who shared their original music about recovery. 3 of the guests were people of color who talked about their experience in recovery. One of the guests shared an absolutely incredible poem that she wrote specifically for the show to express what recovery has meant in her life. It was so moving that I got tears in my eyes while we were listening to it. And it was the first time she had ever read it out loud. So it was a really incredible moment. And I hope you'll come back and next week and listen to that. I also shared 3 very brief readings from recovery that have been incredibly important to my growth and development. I also told a story about how the desire to become a podcaster was planted in me decades ago, before podcasting was even a thing. So I hope you'll tune in again next week to check out episode 100. If you're not already following me on Instagram, I'm at Higher Power Coaching, and I'll be posting a countdown to the 100th episode there. So I hope you'll chime in on that. So, all right, back to the matter at hand, intention and impact. And I honestly didn't realize until I went to go save this document that I used to prepare for the podcast that this is in some ways similar to last week's, where I talk about my 2 most important questions, one of them being motive. So there's going to be a little bit of overlap, but I don't think it's going to hurt. And I also know not everybody listens to the podcasts in order. So anyway, intention and impact. Your intention determines the type of energy you bring to whatever it is you're doing. And it impacts you psychologically, emotionally, psychically, and spiritually. Intentions are very similar to motives. And what I've learned is that my motives matter enormously. They matter in terms of the kind of human being I am. An easy example from my life is regarding people pleasing, which I talked about last week. Until I got into recovery, I didn't understand that my people-pleasing behaviors were about trying to control. They were trying to control other people, primarily, what they thought of me. But sometimes I was trying to be nice so that things would go my way. But my underlying intention was to control people's opinion of me or how things got done. But those intentions were disguised as helpfulness. In fact, in my mind, I thought I was nice. I had a sponsor say to me one time, "It used to be that I made you a cup of coffee because I wanted you to like me. Now I make you a cup of coffee because God wants me to be a good, kind person, and I want to live a God-centered life. Either way, you get coffee. I think that is a perfect illustration of what I'm talking about here. The impact in both cases is that the person gets coffee. But her motives, her intentions were completely different in both of those cases. So to say that intention doesn't matter, just the impact matters, is short-sighted. It doesn't address the internal impact on the person who's doing the acting. As a reminder, the reason this podcast is called Fragmented to Whole Life Lessons from 12-Step Recovery is that I felt like I was fragmented before recovery. I don't think I understood that then. It was something I can only see now on looking back. And it was the process of recovery that helped me to feel whole, to become whole. One of the reasons I believe I was fragmented was because I was not living up to my own values. Or, in recovery speak, I wasn't, quote, practicing these principles in all my affairs. When I was being helpful to people to manipulate and control, the impact was they got helped. Now, when I help people because I want to be helpful, people still get helped. The impact may very well be the same to the person getting helped in both of those cases. But from my perspective as the person doing the helping, when I help with the intention of truly being helpful, I am living in line with my principles. I'm being honest about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. I'm honest with myself and I'm honest with the people around me. Whereas when I was people-pleasing, I didn't even understand what I was doing. I didn't understand why I was doing what I was doing. I didn't consciously see that I was manipulative and controlling. But I think that on a subconscious level, I understood that, which is what led me to feeling fragmented. You might say I had cracks in my foundation. My foundation didn't have integrity. So my intention mattered to me psychically, psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually because it fragmented me to not have intentions that were above board and very clear. So impact absolutely matters, but it's not just your impact on the external world that matters. The impact on your internal world matters too. And intention is the thing that determines how your behavior impacts you internally, which absolutely matters. One of the reasons why we want to practice these principles in all our affairs is that means if we do that, we're living in alignment with our values. And we're living in alignment with our higher power. And that is what recovery is all about, to get us into alignment with the universe. So, dear one, I urge you to think about your intentions the next time you're not sure how to handle something, or if you did the right thing. Think about the impact of your intentions on you. Will those intentions enhance your integrity, or will they leave your foundation with cracks in it? That's all I got for today. Talk to you next week. And remember, healing is possible. It's never too late, and no one is beyond hope. That's it for today. Please share this episode with anyone who might find it helpful. If you like what you've heard here, you might be interested in private coaching with me. If that sounds like you, then head on over to barbchat.net, or you can get on my calendar for a free 20-minute consultation to help you make lasting changes in your life, like I've made deep, lasting changes in my life. My ideal client is someone who is ripe for change, but I'll coach anyone who wants to be happy, joyous, and free. So if that's you, then go to barbchat.net and get on my calendar. I'd love to chat with you. Please like and subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast outlet. This helps other people find me. Thanks for listening.